So there we were beneath the burning sky. Both had a reason to live, but so much more to die.
When I think back to my trip to Scotland, I didn't just want to capture the sights. I wanted to capture the feeling. The way that the mist hangs over the highlands, the cobblestone streets of Edinburgh, and the vast rugged beauty of the Isle of Skye. I actually bought my Lumix S5IIX and a brand new 24-70 lens that I purchased specifically for this trip. I knew I was going in to see some of the most cinematic landscapes in the world, and I just wanted to do them justice. That being said, we all know that gear would only take you but so far when it really comes down to capturing the actual feeling of the location you're actually at. This is where Dehancer actually comes in. It's a plugin that gives you basically film emulations that I've been using for about 30 days. I thought Scotland is actually the perfect place to try it out because it is an old and vintage location. And I think when Dehancer actually reached out and said, hey, do you want to try this stuff out? I said, absolutely, because I knew in the back of my mind that Scotland was the perfect place for it. So this is Edinburgh straight out of camera. It's clean, it's sharp, it's digital. You know, I'm not gonna lie, it actually looks really good. But once you add the Dehancer effects, it actually gives it kind of like a warm tone with halation and the light textures, just makes it feel a little bit more alive. At the same time, if you look at the Isle of Skye, what my camera actually captured was beautiful, but it really wasn't telling the whole story. With Dehancer, I was able to kind of put a mood to the scene, which you can't really get right out of camera. And if you try it with DaVinci Resolve, or if you try it with other editors, it's just hard to get the effect. This is more of a shortcut to be able to do that, which I absolutely love and appreciate. We spent days exploring Edinburgh and Inverness and out to the Isle of Skye, which was awesome. And each stop, each location actually had a different feeling about it. So I'm here just kind of experimenting with different types of film stocks in order to kind of set different moods. You let me know what you think. For the highlights, I learned that the Kodak film look is actually really rich for the greens and soft on the highlights. In the grain, it really does match the ruggedness of Edinburgh. It matches the ruggedness of the actual mountains, which is actually pretty cool. So if you actually look at the Fuji profiles, they actually make it look a little bit more cooler. So it gives it that cleaner city feel. So when you look at these from Edinburgh, I use the Fuji profiles and I think it's actually pretty cool. And the difference between the Kodak and the Fuji are big. So it's not like you're just putting an effect on your film and not really getting anything different from film stock to film stock. It actually does really mimic what film stock actually looks like. What I was most surprised with is what it actually did with the colors, and Dehancer added, a lot of atmosphere, if you ask me. That the imperfection actually makes it look less digital, which gives it that cinematic feel that people are actually looking for. I hate to say it, but it's true. So now Dehancer isn't really perfect. At the end of the day, it does have a large learning curve. I wouldn't say large, but it does have a learning curve. I mean, you could get something out of it pretty quickly if you really wanted to. If you wanted to just stick to one of their presets and not touch it, it will give you the effect right away. And you could actually, what I did with something like that, I actually added it at the end of my my node tree and just added it as an effect at the very end. But I did my conversions and everything ahead of time. I did my white balance and everything ahead of the tree. And at the very end, I just threw the effect to see what it would look like. And it actually looks pretty cool and a pretty easy way to work. And I did it right off Rec 709, so I didn't even put a LUT on it. Now, you can add a LUT and use Dehancer, which actually gives it a different look, which is what I was going for with a lot of these shots. So I actually added LUTs and then added the Dehancer, which is pretty cool. I will say it is very GPU heavy. There is going to be some lagging. If that node tree starts to grow, you're going to have some you're going to have some lagging. So just be aware of that. I did edit on both my my office computer and my home computer. My home computer is actually built for editing, so my home computer was able to chomp right through this footage pretty easily with no problem. My iMac, on the other hand, it's it did make it work hard. So you know, it's not the top of the line. It's like the $5.99 one or whatever. It's, you mostly use it for work, but it is, you know, GPU heavy. So just keep that in mind. So don't like bog it down with a bunch of nodes ahead of time and then add it at the end. It's just not going to work. I would probably turn off some effects and kind of add it at the end, see what it's going to look like, and then export it. That's kind of what I would do. But, you know, you might have a powerful computer, you might not have that problem, so you don't have to even worry about it. Scotland was an absolutely beautiful place. It's absolutely unforgettable, and if you ever get a chance, you should definitely go there. The people, you know, just the history, everything about it, it's just like stepping into a whole other world. With Dehancer, what it did is actually help me capture the feeling when it comes onto this video and all the videos that I have. And that's not something that's easily done when you just, you know, when you put it on DaVinci Resolve, especially if your color grading is not up to par. I am not a professional color grader, so this really is a shortcut to being able to do that. So if you're a filmmaker, a content creator, and you're looking for that real cool film look, I think you should absolutely give Dehancer a real look. I think it would actually be great. There is something else that I didn't mention. There is actually a Dehancer app that I had no clue about. And I downloaded the app, and I've recently been using it for about the last 4 or 5 days. And it's absolutely amazing. You could actually capture film right out of your cell phone from my iPhone 13, which is an older iPhone. And you could edit it and actually give it a look that's different than your iPhone. You know that typical iPhone look or that typical, you know, cell phone look. It actually really does take it away. And actually, I mean, it's definitely not as good as my camera, but it is an easy way, an easy workflow to work in. I download the video right onto their app. I edit the color, you know, right there, and then I just move it from there to like CapCut or whatever I'm using on my phone. I think I'm using CapCut right now. And voila, you have a small video clip for, like, just say, for social media, or it does photos as well. So if you want to give a photo a different look, because even though I'm not a photographer, I love taking pictures. I actually been messing around with it for the last couple of weeks, and I think it's actually a really cool feature that you have the ability to have if you actually download the I think you have to have the Dehancer Pro to do it, but to me it's well worth the money. So when it comes down to Dehancer, it's not about making things perfect. It's really about making things memorable. So if I were you, I'd give it a try. I think it's worth it. All right, until the next video, I'm out.